Hi guys, welcome to another episode. This time it's a gardening episode. It's May here, so it's close to time to transplant tomatoes. And before that, we may have some freezing days or nights, but I would like to prepare my tomatoes for this variety of temperatures and conditions. That's why I would like to move them to my greenhouse. But it's not that easy. They cannot be moved just from the stable nursery inside of my building to greenhouse, which is way more unstable. That's why I would like to prepare from few scraps some kind of protection. For this, we will need just a few cheap elements. So let's start from this. It's a steel wire. Not really sure from what I've got it, but during a season I use it for low poly tunnels. It is quite elastic, and I use it for my 75 centimeter beds like this. So this is one element. I have a few of them. Then few scraps. Here I have plywood and few scraps of OSB. I've got two sets like this. We will need also plastic to cover everything up, scissors, stapler or anything that helps you to attach plastic to OSB, drill, and actually that's it. And measuring tape. So first thing that we need to know is dimension of our tray. So in my case it's like a 32 centimeters by 54, more or less. So I have prepared two OSB pieces like this. They are 62 and half, and the reason is why this dimension is because it is a half of the full sheet. So because it's a scrap, so probably I cut it OSB half, then I trimmed to the correct length, and these pieces left. So there will be going on the longer sides. So there are two pieces like this. Also, here I have a piece of plywood. It's a 47 centimeters. Yeah, it should be wider because the plants are wider than the tray is. So this is okay. In the second set, I have a piece of wood like this, a little bit shorter, 46 centimeters. It doesn't really matter because I have second tray with tomatoes, and that tray is a little bit more narrow, let's say. Okay, so what we need to do first, we need to build a frame. I think it will be quite obvious. Yeah, this way, like this, and like this, and there will be the same on the bottom side. So let's do this. For drilling, I will use a scrap of wood just to do not damage anything around the table or anything else. Before you start assembling those two pieces together, be sure that the screw that you are going to use can freely go through this element. That allows you to tightly joined two pieces of wood. Otherwise, if there will be any gap, screw will, let's say, catch this element and the other one, so it will be not able to squeeze those two elements together. If the thread has nothing to catch in this element, only the head of screw will hold this piece. That's why this hole has to be bigger than I drilled. So even if we make it from scraps, it is always nice to use some square to keep it straight and looking nice. Okay, so that's how our simple frame looks like. Now it's time to join those two pieces together. So how I'm going to do this? And so it should go more or less like this. So my piece of wire, this cable wire, is quite long because it was designed to be used in a 75 centimeters. This one has way smaller, it's way narrow, but still I guess it can fit. So I'm going to drill holes in an angle to make this bulb-like shape. If you have also such long piece of steel wire and your frame is narrow, you can shorten this, at least simulate this, by having these elements in a cross like this. Yeah. So this will make also space to put plastic on top of it, and it should work fine. So now I'm going to drill holes. I don't want to drill on the very edge because this is flexible, but may rip off a piece of this OSB, so it will be like a 1/3 of the width. Okay, so here I have holes for one wire, another one, and at the bottom there is a third one. Okay, so that's how it more or less like done. So now to keep this on a position, I can use a wire, any kind of rope, wherever I have it. So first I'm going to attach to the bottom bar. Now this shouldn't move too much, and now let's see if that fits to my plants. Yeah, I think it will be more than enough. So it is time to cover it with a plastic. There might be plenty of solutions. One will be a solution that you will roll this plastic every day, or depends on the weather conditions. I'm going to make it as a one piece attached to this frame, and I will be lifting up the whole frame. It makes just this structure simpler. How big piece of plastic do we need? We need a tape measure, that's for sure. So let's start from the width. Here I have the fourth wire to measure how much plastic do we need. We need to cover the whole surface here, right? So we can go through the edge and measure it, or we can try to simulate that it is a circle more or less this diameter. So if it's this diameter, it has more or less 80 centimeters. 80? Yeah, I would say more or less 80. So from the very basic math formula, 2πr, we know the length of the full circle. This is the half, yeah, so it is just πr. Our r is 40 centimeters, yeah, so let's say this is 3 for times 40, it's 120 centimeter. Plus we need few centimeters to have this possibility to attach, let's say 5 centimeters from both sides. Is like more or less 1 meter 30 centimeters in this for the width. For the length, we already know the length of our bottom, but we also have to cover the height. So yeah, we can measure directly like this. In my case it's a 56 centimeters plus, let's say, 5 centimeters on sides also to wrap and touch stamp wherever way you will choose. So I need 56 times 2, because there are 2 sides, plus length of the board, plus 10 centimeters to cover it up on the bottom. So it's a 110 plus 60 is a 170. So 170, 185 for the length. So let's cut it. So my initial plan was to make one tiny greenhouse or growing chamber, however you want to call it, and to make a second one off camera, but my gear decided that I did first one off camera, so I'm going to prepare the second one on camera. Here I have this thinner piece of wood, and the concept is exactly the same. This will be a little bit not that wide as the first one, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it will go like this. I have 3 wires, the same as in the first one, on the very ends and one on the middle. Then to join them I will use this rope, and actually that will be it. I have also prepared a piece of plastic. This is not as wide as the original one, but I am going to use exactly the same length of wires, so the width of the plastic that I need is exactly the same. And that's kind of an issue here, because I have piece which is almost in point, so there is no room for errors. The basic frame is ready, so now time to drill holes. So let's see if all fits as expected. And now we can start wrapping this up. This piece of plastic is a bit longer than I need, because length is the required length. It's the length of our frame plus 2 times height plus 5 centimeters, let's say, on each sides to wrap it. And on the width, it's actually a half of the circle that this wire makes, plus also 5 centimeters to wrap it. And because the width of this plastic is almost accurate, I'm going to start from the one side, then try to do the same on the opposite side, and then finish the edges. Otherwise, it might be too short. Okay, almost too short, but not too short. So let's trim this end. It is okay so far. Okay, I'm not going crazy to make it too straight, because it is just for internal use, and that's not the only task we have to do in gardening right now. So as long as it does the job, it's good for me. Okay, one side is wrapped. If you want to put it outside and you're afraid of rain or so, yeah, then this should be avoided, because water will stay here. But because I want to use it only in my greenhouse, I'm fine. Here are my tomatoes that I would like to cover with this growing chamber, and let's see. Yep, and now they have a lot of space inside. I don't have to keep them indoor in my nursery. This chamber prevents airflow, which is good and bad, because we have to be aware of the humidity inside to avoid fungus, but during a day it can accumulate, I mean soil, water, all the structure can accumulate heat and then distribute this overnight. And as I said at the beginning, you may want to rub on the sides, but I think it is good enough for me if I will lift from the one side or like this. That depends, or we'll take it off completely if it's a sunny day, and the whole structure is just simpler. So I think that this is it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.